And so a musician who I barely knew came to my house to deliver the finished product of a music video, and they were shattered on the inside. They were broken and distraught. They didn't want to show me the music video, but, contractual obligations and all. And that's how you make one of your best friends of life. Yeah, how much fun this can be. Greetings, friends and fans, and welcome to the T. Maxwell Smith podcast. I'm T. Maxwell Smith, and this is my diary. This is where I journal my path through the film industry and make myself accountable to my goal of creating 2 feature films by the end of the decade. For diary purposes, today's date is Sunday, the 5th of July, 2020, and I do not know my weight. I haven't measured myself all week. Again, don't think I'm really losing weight at the moment, as I had dinner out last night and things like that. So you can follow me, or if you're gravitationally attracted to my mass, on Facebook, which is at tmaxwellsmith.actor. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, which is at t_Maxwell. Or you can go to my website, tmaxwellsmith.com. That is still not ready. I had a lot of plans. Everything for this podcast was supposed to be released a couple of days ago amongst the initial plans, but that's not how it went because of my own stupidity, and I just started releasing things anyway. But the website was hopefully going to be completed in the past week, which it has not, because I've been very, very busy with other things, other people's websites, and other work. My work has really ramped up, but at the same time, so has the pain in my back and a few other things. Yes, far too much going on. So we've got a few interesting things to go over. Firstly, production one. I have been doing some more work on scripting. It's very difficult in terms of, taking ideas from the idea stage and putting it into the scripting phase in terms of moving things around as to how they might work. I've got some ideas of very specific sequences that I want to have, but at the same time I'm trying to write them to exist in such a way that it's not expensive to film, because as I said, this type of film I always thought would be something that would require a huge budget, and while I've scaled that right down for this particular script, it is something that I'm really wanting to, even at the writing stage, that's the best stage to really limit the production. In terms of, there's lots of things you can do there, looking at how many characters, how many locations, how many crew, the types of shots that you're going to be going for. A lot of that is done in the scripting phase. Production number 2, I bumped into a gangster, has had not a lot of work on it this week. Still no moving forward with my hard drive space there. Also, my main editing computer is what I'm using for my work from home, because we're still in the coronavirus pandemic, although there's supposed to be some restrictions on lockdowns within Queensland, as well as some very bad things happening in the southern state of Australia, Victoria. Southern state of Australia. That sounds like I should be talking about South Australia, but no, Victoria. My brother lives there, and there's things are spiking there again. Yes, so in continuing my story from last week, where I met Mikey on the set of late September, and he brought around this completed project. 6 months of planning and time and effort went into this particular project, which was objectively bad, and I did not know that. I felt on the set that it was not going to be the way that I had pictured it, but I wasn't the director, so it wasn't me that was putting that across. I was just the actor. So And as promised, I've had a conversation with Mikey about it. There's Mikey, I love him to death, but he does have a habit of giving things away. So this has been minutely edited, but in terms of talking about a few things with. This is Mikey. We pre-recorded this conversation so that I would be able to censor anything that in terms of names and taking out content that maybe specifically referenced things that I didn't want to discuss yet on the podcast. So here is my first guest on the podcast, who will throw to this conversation that we had.
Okay, so here we have right in studio with me the man, the myth, the legend, and by studio I mean lounge room. And
of course,
in typical my podcast fashion, we are about as prepared as Mikey walking through the door, me putting his headset on him and saying, "Hey, I'm going to ask you some questions."
Of course, yep.
So, say hello to everyone.
Hi everyone, how's it doing?
Yeah, at the time being, there's about 100 views on the views. It's one thing I'm not used. Yeah, I'm not used to talking about such an audio medium. But yeah,
okay,
about 100
plays.
Yeah, that's the one.
Plays. There we go.
But yeah.
Hi everyone. I'm Mike.
I'll put you on the spot.
I've dropped out of this game for a long time, so that's why I was like, okay.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that in the last one as well about not really doing so much in the music anymore. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so cast on a photo.
Yeah, what happened was I don't know if we're mentioning the director of the.
I haven't mentioned them by name.
That's fine. The director and myself, we were going through photos of trying to, I guess, storyboard. And at some point, it was almost like, okay, well, what's going to suit and match properly for this character versus this character, and that's also that dynamic, right? And
what was the character meant to be?
We wanted the character almost to have a bit of a frustrated kind of, I wouldn't say aggression. I'd say a frustrated kind of, I guess, an immaturity, just being a bit too headstrong. Because the song is about is about pride, and it's about messing things up because of I guess if you want to call it an ego, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And it was sort of like, okay, the character has to have the lead male has to have like a bit of a powerful sort of presence on him, but also has to be like almost like sort of like relatable, so people are going to feel what's happening there for whatever's going on.
Okay.
So I was saying to this person, I was saying, well, this one here gives off very much like an Anakin Skywalker kind of vibe. You remember the third movie, Revenge of the Sith, and
so I've got a children killing kind of face to it.
Of course, yeah.
Great, I'm going to be typecast from now.
Yep.
Because I remember you talking about that photo. I don't know when we really talked about that, but basically the photo that you said was one that I had my agent at the time take.
Yeah.
And it was like 30 photos in, and someone who didn't really understand photography very well. I'm like, oh my God, I hate you right now. And so I had this look on my face, which is like, really?
Yeah. There we go.
So 30 photos to get a good one. It doesn't do wonders for the self-esteem.
No, that's fine. It was just the photo gave off a vibe like, I guess the second movie of the Star Wars as well, like the Anakin Skywalker. That they know what they are, if that makes any sense. They know that they're strong. They know that they are doing well and that sort of stuff, right? And it sort of puts off that confidence sort of vibe. At the same time, it also I wouldn't say put off an ego or anything like that. It was just that the character needed to be, strong right off the bat for this to work. It was never going to work if the character was weak or submissive and anything like that. So we had a situation where it's like, okay, well, this guy here, which was you at the time, this guy here gives off this real Anakin Skywalker kind of vibe, right? And do you think that's going to work with the other female lead at the time? Because we're sort of shuffling around between either... Okay. I don't know if we're mentioning
a few different people.
Correct, yeah. So we're trying to say, well, what's going to work here? Who's going to come across this way? And eventually, because if you remember, how like Anakin Skywalker would be, You know,
you don't need to explain Anakin Skywalker to me. I'm well versed in Star Wars.
Oh, fair enough. Like he'd be really rash. He'd basically be the young, rash kind of. I don't know, like a bit of a jock, bit of a jerk
on himself.
Yeah, pretty much. But at the same time, he still wanted to get the things done right, but he couldn't quite comprehend how to go about doing the right thing because all the rules kept changing on him. So that's why he was a bit more lashing out, acting out, bit of violence sort of thing. So that's hence the bad boy sort of thing. That was the thing. There it is. Because the perfect example of a bad boy is they start off young, trying to fit in, and all of a sudden they just keep getting pushed out, whatever it is, they can't do anything right. Then eventually they just go, no, I'm doing what I do. Yeah. And that's the vibe we had. We just thought, you know what, this dude teamed up with that very delicate kind of blonde girl is going to work. It's going to make sense. The audience is going to go, you know what? That will make sense
in theory, because I also did mention I didn't really talk about. I mean, I said that I thought that the music video was objectively bad.
Well, I can say something on that.
But before you say anything further, because I believe in the. I mean, I sort of ended the story when you came to deliver the actual finished project to me.
Oh, God.
And to which I said that it's possibly my reaction to that as to why we're friends to this day. Which leads me into the title of this podcast, which I haven't actually started. We're doing a bit of a pre-record here.
Okay.
Which is telling it like it is.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
Because that production was the first time as an actor that I sort of felt I would do things differently if it was me. And I think I said that.
Yeah.
When we were filming.
I do remember, especially when I was also seeing you take some photos behind the scenes and I'm just looking at the camera work going, geez, that's kind of quite superior to what I'm seeing on our official
But anyway, you came into my house and gave me this DVD and said, do you want to watch it? I'm like, yeah, sure. I can't remember if you kind of pre-warned me. But I don't think we got to the end of it.
Not without picking things apart and going, that's... Okay, there we go.
Because, as I say, in telling it like it is, I said I didn't like it, and for 6 months' worth, I could probably do better than that in 6 hours. And then from there, we actually talked about making better music videos.
That's true. No, totally. So I understand that. What I was going to say is that's what I was always saying as well. It's like, 6 months planning with this director, 2 days filming, and then the rest of my life scratching my head trying to figure out how it went so wrong. So
yeah, like for me, there was times in that music video where, like in filming it, where you're talking about the emotions of what's happening on what we're supposed to be doing on the set. I'm like, oh, well, you better film it from this angle because if you're going to see the emotion between two people, you should probably see it for both people.
Correct. And the other thing I was going to say is, like I said, because I'm going back to the Anakin Skywalker analogy. I like that because it was the tension thing. I thought, and I said to this guy, I said,
that's all right. He's a director. We'll just call him the director.
Yeah, I said to the director, I said, this one probably is going to create the best tension out of all the actors there. It just makes sense that someone that's like, this is what we're trying to put it down. So, okay, one that's going to be, masculine and strong enough and handsome enough to be with that female lead that we picked. It made sense,
and then be on himself enough to just ruin it.
Yeah, that's realistically that's really what's going on with that sort of thing, because it makes sense, because you got to start thinking, okay, well, that kind of chick there, she's gonna want to be with that sort of dude, and that's just how we've seen the classic thing where they always want to get with the bad boys and that's the stuff, and there it was. It's just like, okay, there we go. So that's why it was always the making sense of the tension, what you're saying before, going back and forth.
Okay. Yeah, and so me telling it like it was basically saying that I'm pretty sure I said, look, I hate to tell you, that's crap.
No, I know. I kind of knew before I even walked in the place.
There you go. I may have said that I've never seen you more broken than when you walked in that day.
It was just when I do laugh a bit at it from your point of view as well. It's like this guy's just walked in and he's just handed it to me personally, but he's not exactly smiling when he's giving me this disc. What's going on? That's probably
yeah. It's like an artist. If you're making a painting, at what point do you go, I don't think I'll sign this one.
Pretty much.
But and it's one of those things. Each director, every person's got their own interpretation of how they would get across a story. But I think there's a universal language in film that we have sort of tropes that are potentially overused, which tell a story, but they still work. There's nothing wrong with relying on something that works to get something to work.
True. The story, like I said, I still kind of stand by that story the way I was told to it by the director. And the way
this is the harshest point for me, is that there was so much planning and so much ideal and so much thought that went into it.
Yep.
That it just I don't know where the execution went, and I don't mean to be hard on any director because it's a difficult thing to do. It's it's like teaching someone to be creative. You can't it's not something that can be done. It's a difficult process, and so I always say hats off to everyone that
tries.
Gives it a go. And as far as I know, he's still making things here and there.
Okay, that's fair enough.
But it's just, I like that. 6 months of planning, 2 days of filming, and scratching your head afterwards.
Yep,
I'm pretty sure it's not online. I'd love to put that online so that we could watch it.
I'm pretty sure I could find it somewhere. Otherwise, if I gave you the original
burned
disc,
any copies.
So, was it literally burnt or was it?
I'm not sure.
But no, look, that's fine. What I was going to say is, if I, in retrospect and that sort of stuff, the potential of it was there. The execution, obviously not. But if I ever went back into that idea, I probably would rethink lens choices, because the way you were showing off some of those lenses as well when we tried that sugar-coated test run as well. It's like going, wow.
Which is what happened because of that. And the whole, I'm not sure if it was that day or it was another day in the days leading up to that where we just went and filmed. Yeah. And just went, okay, show me a couple of your songs. And I picked that one. Great, we'll do this. We'll go out and just film it. And,
And like I said, it was just a nice... It was literally just like a gimbal gyro sort of stabilizer thing with a nifty 50 lens, right? At 1.8. Now I remember that. Now I'm glad I know this now. But it's like
because you weren't into sort of photography or any of that at the time.
No,
and
no idea.
You kind of, I think it was some of that got you into the whole idea of like, okay, well, some lenses are good at different sorts of things, and I also taught you some marvelous, cheap ways of, you can spend $600 on lights, or you can
just throw them in the shade. That's what you told me. Yeah, I told that. I was saying that before to one of my models a couple of years back, Isabel, the one I photographed. A bit there in Brisbane, because it just made sense to always keep seeing ones you knew in Brisbane quickly, because you wanted to get to where you wanted to be, because I love that street photography sort of shots and the cinematic thing. So
out of that, you've kind of gone into some other, you've gone into some photography, definitely. And I've also utilised you on a few other things as being a sound person, because you've got that musical background as well. There's one more thing that I want to talk about, because I'll best to do it in the recording here, so that might hold us to it. I've been thinking that you and I and potentially Justin need to do some sort of podcast or something. But
I can,
because I've had a few people, friends from long ago, before I even moved to Queensland, contact me and say, "Oh, it's a shame you're not doing something comedy based." I'm like, well, I would like to, but time. It's all about the time.
Yeah, true.
Well, thanks for putting the headset on. I'll jump back to me in the future right here. Okay, so that was obviously a pre-recorded conversation with Mikey, and we talked about a few different things there. The coming out of what happened with late September, I did talk to him about, doing a better job of that music video. And it was actually in the coming days where we filmed a music video for another of his songs called Sugar Coated. I am going to see about having that online in the next couple of days, if possible. It's one that I do have stored away in filing somewhere, but if I can't find it straight away, then it might not be going online. But
it was an easy song that we went and filmed. I think it was one night we went and filmed for about 3 or 4 hours, and then I put it together in the following days and showed it to him. And ever since then, Mikey and I have been really good friends, and he got a love of photography and the idea of, how to get images being the way that you want them. A lot of that came out of, saying, discussions with him about, well, what are we trying to do here? This is a lens that will get away with this, and will help in this certain situations, because it was a lot that was filmed at, quite late at night with natural lighting. I didn't have the lighting equipment back then that I had now, and so there was cheating ways that I would go about doing things to not try and show that I was cheating, but in terms of, creating a production with the highest possible values of how it was looking, but at the same time not having it be super expensive. Things which I'm still trying to do, because I'm never going to have, well, I don't know about never, but I don't think that I'll be able to afford all of the film equipment that I want for any given production. So again, it's like with production one, where I'm writing from the start as to how to go about creating a production without a huge budget. And so that's something that's been going on for 10, 11 and 9, something, quite a few years. Always trying to work on the productions and have them go as best as I can. So something a little bit different there. Hopefully I can get the sugar-coated music video online in the coming days. If it ever goes online, there will be a link in the description wherever you're watching this. If it's on SoundCloud or Spotify or YouTube or Podbean, iTunes, wherever you're listening to this, in the description, if I put sugar-coated online, that's where it will be found. So thanks for tuning in. A little bit of a longer one today, a little bit aimless. Whenever Mikey and I get together, we can talk about some crazy things and get wildly off track. So I'm surprised I'm still managing to keep this under 25 minutes. But thanks for coming along and joining me on the T. Maxwell Smith podcast. I'm T. Maxwell Smith, and I'll see you next time.